I'm just real quick announcement. If the seats at the tables are designated for SLEC members for the purposes of being able to tell who's eligible to vote and who's not. So if you are not a SLEC member, I ask that you sit in the gallery. There should be plenty of chairs back there. If you need to get more, we'll do so. Just help us keep that separation, please. All right. I am at 9:01 calling this meeting to order. And the first order of business, as always, is roll call. And it changes to SLEC.
Perfect. Everyone, I'm here because of the cord. And so if you could, when you say something, speak up because you're talking behind me. All right. So as I call your name, always say here. Joseph Duncan.
Here.
Rudy Wright.
Here.
Kevin Hale.
Present.
Nathan Moxley.
Here.
Doug Kroll. Eric Tanner.
Here.
Amy Brown. Scott Talley.
Here.
Aaron Ramos. Jody Cole. Kathy Glass. Renee Perez.
Here.
Elizabeth Miller. Here. Trey Holcomb.
Here.
John Hom.
Yeah, it is.
What?
Yeah, here.
Yeah, oh, speak up, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Bob Townsend.
Here.
John Wilford. Stephen Haskett.
Here.
Ted Brown.
Here.
Alan Smith. Sean Trozick.
Here.
Michael Dooling.
Here.
Kyle Russell.
Here.
Chris Clements. Janae LeBlanc.
Here.
Andrew Emmeling.
Here.
Paul Dar.
Here.
Nolan Schmidt.
Here.
Paul Kiefer. Joseph Roberts. Joe Burns.
Here.
Tim Martinez. Michael Hansen.
Here.
Arthur Thomas.
Present.
Frank Lozano.
Present.
Nathan Peer.
Here.
Jack Westbrook.
Here.
Colby Neese.
Here.
Thank you. I see. Thanks. And if anybody comes in, they will need to come up to me because I will not see them entering, obviously.
I'll try to watch.
Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, I'll count.
Give her a minute to sort out the new roster.
I'm just double checking, make sure we don't have double absences. Right. Double absences.
As new people are trickling in, just a reminder that the seats at the tables are for select members. All other guests, please sit in the gallery. Of course, we'll have opportunity for public comment here in a little bit. We are at ease right now, waiting for the secretary to run the numbers, tell us, what we met quorum, and if there are any changes to the rolls and our voting thresholds.
Yeah. And of course, so Kate, Whitney,
Here.
Becca, thank you.
Stephanie.
Yes. And of course, I'm here, yes. Sorry.
Has there been a select member wander in since we called roll that we missed? I know a couple visitors have.
Nothing.
Oh, and the Wi-Fi password. All right.
It's second majority, it's not 16, 17. I'm just a lot of things right now. I don't even care. All right, so I've got somebody monitoring the YouTube stream, I've got somebody monitoring the Facebook stream. And somebody
We have 32 present, we require 22 for quorum, so we've got that covered. Majority votes will require 16.
16? 16? Okay.
3/4 votes require 24. 2/3.
What was, what did you put?
22. Secretary report to no one is removed.
We had people resign from last time. Do you want those reports? But no one was removed for absences today.
Well, I just, on the record here, it shows all missed, missed the last name, so she missed the previous.
Let me double check. That's why I did him the extra one, just in case.
Yeah, she's checking on that, and I'm working on.
He is correct. Paul Kiefer was removed,
Okay,
unless he appears the next couple of minutes.
so we're actually down into
The number is correct. I just,
one of the body that.
Yeah.
41. So majority would be 17.
Yes.
Third would be 22. And I think the rest of it. have them.
3/4 is equal to 1/4. That's what I did.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. All right, and we did, just in case anyone didn't hear, we have one removal for absences, Mr. Steve Walker. Okay, on to public comment. We have 10 minutes slated for public comment. This is an opportunity to hear from any of our guest visitors today. So if anyone would like to be recognized for public comment, please raise your hand. And when you are recognized, state your name and tell us at least what county you're from. And yes, actually, these microphones are set up for them, I assume.
The microphone is back. You're not going to hear yourself in the room, but it'll help us with our stream so that the audience that's not with us can hear.
Yeah, so still project for the room. The microphone is meant for the stream online. So anyone from the gallery wishing to speak? Yes, sir. Yes, and tell us your name and where you're coming from.
Hello, my name is Cannabis.
Can you speak up, please?
Project your voice.
I'm from Crm County. I'm running for the Commission. Libertarian Party, and that's my I'm here observing.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
We appreciate any of our candidates who are here today. Gentlemen in the back, sorry.
I'm Aaron Goss, and I'm from Comal County. And I just had a quick statement regarding the situation with the state. I'm a Libertarian, one of the black sheep of the Libertarian Party. The party, they want us to volunteer, they want our unconditional loyalty, and they want us to be quiet. But Rebecca changed that in a bold way by having one of our 5 speakers, Bosch, debate as a Libertarian Socialist. I was super proud of LP Texas for not recruiting yet another mix of pragmatic and Republican speakers. And the Mises PAC took shipped sound bites from the tankies online and began spamming them on Twitter in an attempt to overwhelm the sensibilities of those unaware of the superficiality speech claim. Investigate any one of the accusations in isolation, and it evaporates under the weight of scrutiny. But in a surface reading for your average viewer, it looks bad. The cacophonous noise is what makes the Mises PAC is our hoping will came to. This is to say nothing of the Mises PAC itself, that of Dave Smith howling around with neo-Nazi Nick, 6 million cookies Fuentes, openly discussing beating the homeless and date raping people to inebriated consent, our Angela McArdle, who will engage with neo-Nazi Tower Power Boys while platforming Thaddeus Russell, an actual advocate of harming children. Please do not bow to this pressure and take a moment to investigate it.
Thank you, Mr. Goss. Anyone else wishing to be recognized from the gallery? Thanks a lot. Who I will also recognize as a extremely valuable staff member.
Nathan Watts from Harris County, and right now I'm here speaking as the chair of the Credentials Committee. I sent by email to SLEC a written version of this, but I wanted to briefly give a informal verbal report of the Credentials Committee, just to let y'all know what we have been working on and accomplished. I wanted to just take a couple minutes during this time to do so. So since we were formed in June, we've held 12 meetings. And we've accomplished a number of things. We identified tasks that we wanted to do to support the facilitating of conventions. All of it really, I would say, is voluntarily done because our only defined purpose of the Credentials Committee is to just deliver a report to the state convention for the purpose of having delegates there. But we wanted to ensure that we do everything we can to equip and enable the leaders and members of LP Texas across the state to hold successful conventions, generate good records that will hold up to scrutiny, and help for very fast and successful credentialing of the delegates. We've done many things to support that. So just to name a few of the tasks we've accomplished so far, we've made updates to the LP Texas website. If the frequently asked question pages that haven't been updated since 2018. Still have dates for that have been fixed. We've collaborated with Kyle and Nathan Moxley to update the convention website with a number of training materials, guides, presentations and form templates to help the facilitating of conventions. And those are things that we developed and very carefully updated for this term. And we've also submitted a number of recommendations to the Rules Committee on bylaws amendments that deal with conventions and how counties are organized. And we've also scheduled 3 training sessions for convention leaders on how to facilitate conventions, one of which will take place right here after this select meeting this afternoon, and 2 others that will be held virtually and recorded. So there's plenty else that we're working on. You can look at the email I sent, but I wanted to deliver that to let y'all know what we've been up to. Thank you.
I'm going to take a second to, since Nathan spoke on behalf of the Credentials Committee, to recognize any of the Credentials Committee members in the room. Please stand. And watching the progress that was made from when we all started together and building on almost nothing to what you guys have done now. It's incredible. And I'm so thankful for Christy and Doug and Bo and Nathan for continuing in that service on that committee. Because what I'm seeing this year is super impactful, and it's going to be stuff that I think helps us with our lawsuits as well. And so I really am appreciative of everything that you do to make sure that in so many ways this year winds up being a very successful convention experience for everyone. Thank you. All right, anyone else in the gallery wishing to be recognized? Yes, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carter Fanning. I'm from Bexar County. I'm also a state organizer for the Mises Caucus here in Texas. I wanted to talk about Bosch speaking at our convention. I brought up concerns with him speaking over a month ago now. The decision was made to go ahead and keep him. And at this point, I don't see a reason not to stick with that decision. It's been public, the damage has been done of any fallout. I personally see no issue with him speaking at this point. We took a beating on social media for it, I know we did, but backing down now, or are we just caving to the crowd? It's our convention, so let's do what we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, anyone else in the gallery wishing to be recognized?
My name is Nathan Moxley. I'm the Senate District 3 representative, and I have a statement from one of the constituents in Senate District 3 and a candidate, Desiree Lindsay. And I am reading on her behalf. I would like to speak to my resounding support of Bosch as one of the debaters invited to our convention. I identify as a left libertarian, and I am often bombarded by right libertarian rhetoric at many of our party events. I am a casual fan and supporter of Bosch's body of work, and I have found his perspective to be quite refreshing. I am baffled by the sudden controversy surrounding his invitation to our convention. This had been announced more than a month ago. I have mad respect for Becca Condon for the variety of philosophical differences represented by the talent she has booked. This smells of partisan cancel culture. The controversy didn't arise until it was posted on Twitter, which tells me that it is unengaged low information members of SLEC who had an issue with Bosch appearing to begin with. He's being attacked because he is a leftist, which seems within reactionary libertarian circles. What are we so afraid of? As a left libertarian, I took no issue when I discovered Joe Walsh was also a speaker. I welcome debate and different experiences and perspectives. Desiree Lindsay.
On behalf of someone else? Is there anyone else in the gallery who wishes to speak? Okay, so for public comment time, having select members speak is kind of not okay. We have announcements at the end of the day. Select members, if that works better. Is that okay? All right. Okay. I see no one else in the gallery wishing to be recognized. So we'll take that 20 20 seconds, and move on. You guys have finally figured this out. Actually, that's not true. I wait, I'll say it. All right, we're moving into the adoption of the agenda. We have 10 minutes for this item. The agenda has been in the forum for 2 weeks, and it was 2 forums. The final version was put out I think last Saturday. And it should be on the screen for you, Mr. Thomas.
I'm going to adopt it.
Yeah.
Right.
SD 46.
Seconded, Kevin Hale, SD.
All right, and the agenda as it has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections to adopting the proposed? Hearing no objections, we have adopted an agenda for today. All right. Secretary, have time to, okay. Approving the previous minutes from the last meeting, 10 minutes for that. Those should be in, if I'm not mistaken, in the forum. That was in the November 6th meeting, under the days, select meeting info. Hopefully, we'll have a today.
No move. Anderson, of the Crm budget.
Mr. Hanson has moved to approve the minutes from the November 6th meeting.
Second, District 11.
Are there any objections to adopting the minute previous meeting?
Well, there's just a little, this little one at the top. It's actually part of the remainder of the table of content. And I'm just, I think that we could just update that.
So that's, if you're not proposing any substantive.
I think it could be.
Proposed 27 pages.
I will fix it for you.
Okay, aside from that, any objections to approving this? All right, there are no objections. We have approved the minutes from the November 6th meeting. Secretary and everyone else. Okay, that brings us into officer reports. I will do my first. I did not submit any this time. I just want to go over a few things that I've done. I'm quite certain that I'm leaving off of it. So if anyone has something else that I've done, of course. I will also say that the work that I do in the engagement that I have from the national perspective does give me lots of opportunities to act on behalf and engage on behalf of Open Texas too. So there is some overlap there for sure. The thing that I did most right after our last SLEC meeting was getting into Thanksgiving time. And so my husband and I and a couple of the Libertarians led by Elliot Sherman, who's no longer with us, did some charity work in Houston to feed some folks for Thanksgiving. So that was a really cool thing. And I actually hope that LP Texas would take on more activities along those lines moving forward. So keep that in mind if you intend to stay involved here, that might be something we need to be looking for more opportunities for, or creating more opportunities for. It's a really good way to go out there and show the world that we're not the greedy, selfish, uncharitable people that they think libertarians are. When in fact, we are the most charitable and generous and selfless people. I have spent a lot of time working on the lawsuits that we are currently involved in. We have 2 actually, and for some of you who don't know, if you're just getting on SLEC or just haven't been paying attention, LP Texas has been party lawsuit that's been ongoing for about almost 5 years now, I think. And it's Mark Miller is in there, and over organizations, the Center for Competitive Democracy, and Texans for Voter Choice, and the Libertarian Party of Texas joined in after they had already been established in litigation. That is still ongoing. It actually is focused on the overall ballot access scheme here in Texas, not just the filing fees. As you know, we, LP Texas and LP Texas alone, with some of the people in this room as individual plaintiffs, as candidates, are involved in that one. So they are separate. They don't even technically overlap at this point. The statute that we are challenging right now in federal court, just LP Texas, is specifically related to the newest iteration of that filing fee bill. Filing fee bill went into place in 2020, in 2021, and it was changed from the 2019 version. The new version is the one that we're fighting. Just to give you an update on that one, we have had, since the last meeting, we've actually rounded up the plaintiffs. We have signed the engagement letter with the attorneys. We have met multiple times as groups with them. I have met multiple times with them on my own. We have all done depositions. And we are now preparing for a 2-day, what we believe is going to be a 2-day hearing at the end of this month in Austin. I'm hopeful that what we will get out of that is a preliminary injunction, and then continue to move forward with the actual fighting the actual merits of the case. So we hope that you will be with us in spirit as we move into that fun time over the next couple of weeks. We will be spending some time physically in Austin in court in the Western District for that, and I can provide details as they become more available in case anyone else wants to, and I guess can be there present for that. But all of the plaintiffs will be expected to be there. And with regard to the other one, to the one that Oliver Hall is handling for us, he did put out a report that I shared with you a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to go into that. He's not here to present it, but there's really not much more than what he said in that report that he sent you already. If anyone has any questions for him specifically on that, I can filter those to him after this. Something else, I guess, that we're not going to, since Mr. Wilford is not here, and he's no longer actually our LNC alternate for Region 7 anyway. I will just briefly kind of include here that what has affected us in terms of Region 7, with John Wilford moving up to National Secretary. We had a vacancy again for Region 7 alternate. Beth Best out of Louisiana was selected for that. She is an excellent choice. I am very proud of that, and will be well served in her there. I need more time. Okay.
What was that, Becca?
Second for 5 more minutes for the chair's report. Any objections to that?
Should I? No.
Nope. We talked about this. No, I don't. Times in the column are always the times allowed for the complaint. The times that are, time of day is estimated. All right, so I've got time. Another cool thing that I want you all to be aware of, I think many of you would be excited about this. It's not very highly publicized right now, but I encourage you to look into it. It's something that a friend of mine, a friend of us all, though you don't know him, has started, along with a friend of ours that you do know by name of Ted Fazio, has actually started a Texas Cannabis Pack. And it is brand new, and it's very exciting, and I attended their sort of inauguration reception in Austin a few weeks back. And it's right now that's just what it's called, Texas Cannabis Pack. So I think they go by TexCan. So be on the lookout for that, and for any engagement you might wish to have there, be supportive of that. They are Libertarians doing that work. So. I've worked a lot with, of course, with Nathan Watts and a couple others of you, working with Ted Brown, getting through all of this candidate recruitment stuff and getting these candidates filed and getting the fees paid if they were going to be paying the fees, and then getting them all into the system, and then having trouble. The Secretary of State decided that we were required this time to actually register our candidates with their online system. while most of us didn't even have access to it and struggled for sometimes weeks to get the responses we need in order to get credentialed to use that system before the deadlines. If there are any county chairs in here, the expectation will be that you also get trained and use that system when it's time for you to actually submit the nominees that come out of your conventions. So as we move forward, there'll be more on that. So I've had lots of conversation, as stated, with the Secretary of State. I have had to talk a great deal with the Texas Ethics Commission as well. They are all trying to get on the same page with us, as well as the same page with the Secretary of State. So I'm sure this is a surprise, but two government organizations don't actually communicate with each other. And neither one knows what the other one is doing. Yes. So, and I will tell you that the worst one in that scenario is the Secretary of State.
Yes.
Of course.
Definitely.
Well, yeah.
By far.
So I want
That's
to
surprising.
say though, Texas Ethics Commission, we have a friend there, we really do. She has been, since I took office in August of 2020, she has been very, very nice to us. She actively reaches out to me to make sure that we don't miss things as a party. And she reaches out to me to help understand any discrepancies that she's finding, especially if she can't reach the candidates themselves. They are trying to give us a lot of praise. She was doing this even before we were suing the government. So I do want to give her a little bit of credit. Her name is Jessica House, and she's she's good to us. If you know of any candidates, since it's fresh on my mind, who are talking about withdrawing even before we get to the nomination process, if they are serious about withdrawing and they're doing it because they don't want to have to file with the TEC anymore, they have to submit that resignation in writing to me. And then I can pass it on to the TEC. They're welcome to call TEC. The TEC is not going to count it as official until it's come from me, and it has to be in writing. So I think we've had 3 officially so far do that in the last few weeks. And depending on when they submit that, they may or may not miss the deadline for any reports that they're supposed to file anyway. So if you have direct contact with any candidates in that situation, as a courtesy, we will forward that information on, but it has to be sent to me in writing. I got COVID again. So that was on my to-do list.
Scratch that bad boy off.
Possibly even another time, but not today. We have the Texas Golden Party, lots of thanks to Judith for putting that together and for honoring Libertarian Party of Texas on our 50th birthday. That was very, very kind. And I don't know the results of it. I don't know if it went well and it's success from their perspective. And I nice to be there with those who were there and appreciated the opportunity to mark that occasion, of course. Other than that, tons of activity with regard to staff and organizational things. We brought on an executive director, we brought on an operations director, any other staff, every staff member in the room, please stand up for me now. Even if you're select members, please. I want
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This is not even, those people who just do not even represent half of our actual staff. We are at 30, maybe even 31 as of today, staff members. Yes, a handful of them overlap with select members as well. Thank you for that. That is huge. This is an organization that, I mean, no other in this country has what we have. In California, they may be at the top of the list because of the number of national members, but that is the only reason that they're at the top of the list. They have a board of 15. And I have no idea how many are at the convention, but I'll find out next week, so I'll be there.
I guarantee you that.
But no one has a robust organization like what we have here. Staff members who treat this as, at a minimum, a part-time, serious job, and they do this for free. And I am so, so grateful to all of you for that. And it's amazing. Thank you. And we're continuing to add. We finally got to the point where an executive director was necessary because of how many people wanted to come work on this. So thank you. And so Andrew and I have been working closely together to sort all this out and get control of it. And anyway, that's what I've been doing. So I think everyone is okay.
unfortunately, I also got COVID. And I may have given it to it, so. My apologies. The majority of my time for the last several months has been spent on convention planning. That will be the same going forward. Working in everything from speakers, special guests, exhibitors, the agenda, catering with the hotel, everything, all of those things as well. Obviously, with our director stepping down in the last couple of days, it has been a little bit chaotic. I do not have a full report to give later on. So what I can say though is that within 3 to 4 days, I will have a report for the Overall Forum. That will include total spent, which right now is still just our deposits, but also but our total committed for speaker fees, travel, those kinds of things, which have all been kept at a minimum. Our working agenda, where we are at with ticket sales, where we are with Vote With Your Dollar sales. That, by the way, the Vote With Your Dollar is for our convention scene that ends in 2 days. So if you would like to be a part of deciding what the theme will be, you have 2 more days to be a part of that, and that is on the website convention.lptexas.org. Yes,
Yes.
so we'll include what comes in from that and also our vendor booth sales, what's been committed and what's come in. So I will have all of that, working on it. It'll be there very soon, I promise. As far as other things that I just have as points to make, for anyone who doesn't know, at the National Connect this year, the day before, so I guess what they call day 0, which is Thursday, there is going to be a National Day of Education. If you were one of the ones who attended any of the regional trainings in 2021, Region 7 was the one in Shreveport, but you could have gone to other ones as well. This is essentially the 2.0 version of that. It is incredible what they have been able to put together in just a 1-day period. It includes taking a specific course, but also having electives that are available. I am the current interim communications director for the National Party, and we are going to actually bring in a few people who work professionally every day of their lives in PR and messaging and things like that. So it will be incredibly, incredibly valuable to anyone who can be there on that day. It is also free because there is such thing as free training apparently. But you do need to register, and there are very limited spots on some of the classes. So lnc2022.com is that website. And so definitely if you're going to be there in Reno, please consider making time for that. It will be incredibly beneficial. And also kicking off next month is the Association of Libertarian Educators, a very long time project started with me many, many years ago and is finally coming to fruition. So if you work in education in any way, if you are a teacher, professor, whatever, this is something that you could really it'll be a fantastic time to get in. This is the very beginning of it. It will be kicking off next month in Cambridge, Massachusetts. All that information is available online. If you have any concerns, questions, or can't find it, just come find it there. Lastly, this is my last executive committee meeting as vice chair. I've been stretched quite thin recently, and so this is something that definitely needs to happen, but I'm not running away. You're not going to be able to find me. I'll definitely be around. I'll be involved, but I'm very much grateful for the time that I've been able to be here, for all of you getting to be vice chairperson. Secretary, you're up.
Okay, I'll keep this short. So, like Whitney, I got deposed as part of our lawsuit. They focused on a lot of things that I found to be inconsequential and totally irrelevant. It's not a shock. But I am super excited about where we're going with this. I think we have a really great chance of winning this one, and I can't wait to see how it goes. And if you are interested in carpooling from San Antonio to court at the end of February, let me know. I'll be happy to give you a ride there. Otherwise, please keep speaking up. Some of you are very quiet, and I can't hear. I'm deaf. Just think I'm old. Speak up. Okay? Thank you. That's it. I'll give my time to Kate.
Let's see what homework you've done. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna run down the treasurer's report and I'll give some announcements and what I've been up to this last quarter. I know I've been silent this last quarter, but it's because I've been heads down working on projects and obviously TC report, 2020 reporting, yay, buckle up. All right. So as of right now, current balances, this is just as of 5 days ago, totals over $200,000. Pat yourself on the back. Keep encouraging donors to donate. That $5 donation, as much as it's increased my workload, I love it. Please, that's the kind of work I love. Like, keep bringing that, okay? Yes, you're going to see convention savings has dropped down by $21,500. It was moved to a general account in order to pay for our down payments and our payments for convention. Supplemental account hasn't changed at all. Legal fund has increased a little bit over the past couple months because of our lawsuit, which has been great. Legislative action fund, only a small amount, and that's thanks to our monthly legislative action fund donors. And then reserve fund again is stuck at where it usually is. We earn like I think $5 in interest a year on our account, so nothing too much there. If you want to look at the income breakdown, you can kind of see where we have trended on those funds. Again, you can see the purple at the end of December. We got a little bit of a jump there because people are wanting to donate to our legal causes right now. And then of course you see right there in August, you see that massive ramp up in membership, and that's thanks to the development department and of course you're going to see some blue there with the events and some of the funds that we collected from some of those ticketed events. Of course, you see the auction did very well for us. Yeah. All right, moving on. I'm not going to go down on the completed budget as of right is pretty much as I would think is simple. But I gotta look at it almost every day. So, I will save questions for the end if anybody has any questions for that. But I would like to say that our total income for the year is $159,758. Again, this was a massive effort in 1 year, especially the year after a presidential election year. Like, that's massive for us. And I know National had the same trend. Like, it was just going up, and we weren't prepared for it. Well, we were, Texas. And then again, we were under our expected expenses. Expected expenses was almost just under $65,000, and we only spent $51,000. Net income at $108,671.45. That's incredible. Like, I love seeing that, and I love seeing everybody coming together and bringing that money in order for us to turn around and create these amazing projects. And again, bring more money in. So this is how we should be operating. And in 1 year, to see that, it's incredible. Please note that in this report, you're not going to see any 2022 convention expenses or income in that budget. If you do want to look at that, like our total absolute, like, add that to it, then you would go to our 2021 year profit and loss report, and that would have everything there, down to the penny,
It's there, and it's all accounted for. I did my own auditing for the 2021, and it was perfect, to the penny. Of course, you guys know, like, I love that. If anybody wants to check my work, definitely talk with the Treasurer's Advisory team, and then we could also schedule some time to audit, if anybody wants to audit. I welcome it. I don't care, like, please, question me. Maybe show that I've done something. Let's see. So due to delay in order processing, I will say that the expenses were a little bit less due to a big chunk of the development department. We worked really hard in the design team in the past quarter to pump out the member benefit pins and stickers and all this other stuff, and we were working on design. Of course, there was a delay. Unfortunately, our goal was to try to get those things, those orders submitted before the end of the year. It didn't happen. There will be a motion that will be later on that will help alleviate that issue, but as of right now, we're still sitting pretty on that. That was pretty much cut dry. So I'll move on to the announcements and what I did this last quarter. Again, I know this last quarter I wasn't very active in the public because I was having my head down on a lot of projects. I was working in the development department on member benefit designs for the pins, for the coins, for everything else. Thank you again, Carter Fanning, for volunteering your design work. Really appreciate your help. Make that so much easier on all of us, and really, again, appreciate the hard work there. I finally did it, guys. I finally did it. We can accept crypto.
Does nobody check?
It's not. I promise it's all good. It's all ramping up and everything. But yes, do that. But I did have to get a little creative, but I finally got it to work after 6 months of trying to get this up and running. I finally did it. I was able to go from point A, and yeah, I was still getting my money to see how it's going to travel. And finally got it from point A in crypto to our bank account, which I was so excited that day when I think I announced it to y'all and then Andrew, and I was just like, oh my God, it happened. Yes, you can buy convention tickets now with crypto. You can donate crypto. The only thing you can't do is do a monthly subscription with crypto. I'm hoping in the future I'll get to upgrade our services to allow for monthly subscriptions with crypto donations. But there's some other things I gotta take care of first. All right, so obviously TEC was a big thing for me in this last quarter. I had to file the last annual report. Everything was good there. Again, matched to the penny with our numbers, and haven't gotten anything back from TEC going, hey, any red flags or questions or anything like that. I love that when I don't hear from them. But again, I do want to say, anytime I do have to call TEC with questions about anything that I've been dealing with financially, they're extremely helpful. And I have gotten this comment twice, and I think I've said this before in a meeting, is they say they like us. They like us more than the other parties because we care enough to actually want to do it right. If the other parties don't care, they'll just throw the money into fines and just call it a day. Said this to me. TEC has been really great. They've answered a lot of questions that we needed. There's a lot of questions I'll ask, and their answer is, I don't know, but I'll find out. And that's okay, because their stuff's always changing too. So I've been working also on the integration of our financial accounts with the city CRM transfer. So I was working with Amber this week about that. He was quite impressed with the questions I had in that integration because he said that other states just kind of give him login and let him do his thing. And he was not prepared for me to ask a whole bunch of questions and knew what I was talking about. I know Kyle can say the same thing, that he's had the same kind of conversation with Andy. I think we made a very, very good impression on how we run our organization compared to other states. So again, pat on the back for all the work that you guys do. In relation to the LP Texas suit, I had to work on getting financial reports for all historical convention costs all the way down to 2018. Guess what? I did it after a couple of hours of work. I was actually able to give, unfortunately, not as accurate as I'd like to do, but at least a really good picture of what the 2018 convention historical cost and expenses and income was. And well, that was interesting to see that come up in my face and like. But anyway, so I was able to finally get that picture. Same thing with our 2020 convention, what was involved in that. So that wasn't hard at all. Thanks for our work for that. But and then it gave those financial reports to Whitney so they could paint a picture of what our convention actually looks like. Apparently, they thought we just hold state convention and a barbecue joint every 2 years.
Yeah.
We need help. So, and then of course I attended the 50th anniversary party, and that was a fun time, getting to see some people, see a lot of new faces as well. That was kind of the only public appearance that I made the last quarter. Of course, I hope everyone had happy holidays, got to enjoy some relaxing time with their family, and that's about it. Lastly, I am formally announcing I'm rerunning for treasurer.
I have to ask, is his time
I just felt like as much momentum that we had in the last term, of course that term was very short, not necessarily mine was actually extended due to a program and all that stuff. So I'm actually the only one that has a full term in my belt right now. And even though I checked off everything that I intended to do this term and said, you know what, these are a lot of big projects, if I get this done in a term, I'm going to step down. I want to see what else we can do. I know that we're losing Becca, and some other questions are up in the air right now, but I hope that this last term and then some, I have earned your trust, and I hope I can move forward with the work I've been doing.
More Easter eggs.
I'm sorry?
More Easter eggs.
More Easter eggs. I'll work on that. No, yeah, more Easter eggs, okay. All right, and that's going to do it for me. I'm going to reserve the rest of my time for whatever questions. Yes.
Jack Westwood, District 31. First of all, in addition to all that applause, thank you so much for all you do. And my question is there anything in the treasurer's report financially, is what I'm talking about? Well, I guess you could open up anything that or the budget that causes you concern that we need to know about.
The only thing that I can say right now, it causes just a tiny bit of concern that it's due to current circumstances is the events department and convention, but that's not anything that I can jump right into with Becca and we get back on track. I don't really have any real concerns about it. The only tiny bit of concern is just because where we're at timing, and then of course, I like to be on top of budgetary and financial decisions and stuff. But other than that, no, not really. I'd like to see more money come in. Can we get that income go up?
I should have put that caveat there.
But no, nothing's really giving me concern. Nothing is being overspent, and we don't have any outstanding accounts to where we're spending money for services we're not using like we did in the past. So as of right now, we are sitting pretty.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got one. Our income is obviously great. I want to know from your perspective.
Who are you?
Joe. So, I'm curious to know, since you're intimately familiar with our numbers, do you see any areas on the expense side that might need cutting? Is there any areas that you think that we could possibly save?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, I've even gone in, especially with this whole integration with City CRM, looked at another credit card processing. And even though we have increased our donations, we're still not to a threshold where if we change to another company with credit card processing, that it would save us. So actually, if you want to save us money, donate more. Bring more money in, and then we can actually save credit card processing. The crypto donations, right there, we're looking, I mean, that's gonna be, I have to do that manually at the moment, so I'm going to have to kind of play with that until I get some other services set up for us, to where it's very much automated. So right there, that's the only thing that kind of concerns me right now is, transaction fees, obviously. It is 1% with Coinbase, that's who we're using, by the way. Do not get BitPay to talk to me at all. After 4 months of trying, I gave up on Coinbase, and then even then I couldn't get them to talk to me, but yeah, it works magic. Because Mom said it's got a Bitcoin business owner working on crypto. Yeah, that's the only thing I'm concerned about right now, but it's an experimental thing right now. We're in that phase.
But none of the other items are typical expenses.
Yeah, the other things are typical. I know when we go to the integration and move over to City CRM, we're going to save money, even though we'll be donating to national to cover the staff and obviously the expenses that go with running that. But we're going to save a lot of money. I believe with even that, we're potentially, not just on website stuff, but on other services as well. We'll be able to possibly cancel certain other accounts that we have because this integration will all come together with the services that we're using with other people. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll save more hopefully this year when all that gets dropped and done. Other than that, no, I think we're good. I think even though we've had some experimental projects, and some of them were a little bit wonky, they were still successes. They were still successes.
Just a follow-up, that, are there any things that you see that we need to spend money on that we're not spending money on? In your role as treasurer, of course, obviously, as a select officer, you see other things, but just in your role as treasurer, is there anything that we're not spending money on that we should?
I might be a little biased, even though I'm not a part, I guess I did not give my formal announcement on this, but I did resign from the events department as the town coordinator back in November, after that last SLEC meeting, so I'm not a part of the events department, but I do like event planning, and I see that the funds in there, are well, like, we make our money on events too. And I would like to see that to be elevated a little bit more. We've got to spend money and make money, and that's one department where I think it would be extremely useful. Other than that, development department's doing an incredible job. I can't wait till the bids come out and we see what benefits we did with that project. And of course, for lifetime and everything like that, that's going great. I can't wait to see the results on that. Let's see. I think getting geared up for 2023 and having more representation as lobbyists for our party is something that we need to start thinking about now. And I would like to see that also, I would like to also see that increased a little bit so we can see what some forethought goes into that instead of last minute decision and even though it's still a success on lots of levels, it'd just be nice to see if we can do some time, some money. That's it, I think.
Awesome, thank you.
Nathan here, 28. Do you have any preview of what kind of spend we'd be looking at to upgrade the service to take the monthly Bitcoin or crypto donations?
Well, I don't as of right now, and it's because I'm under so right now we are under a personal account with, not personal as in like owned by me, it's owned by LP Texas, but it's a smaller wallet with less services and I can do everything manually right now. But we're under application review right now for the institutional account with Coinbase. With those services, we'll be able to accept monthly donations. They will automatically take, as soon as the crypto donation is there, it will automatically, instead of manual, will convert to USD. And then I can take that USD and transfer to our bank account. That will still be done manually. But that will save, obviously, me a lot of time, it will save us some money, but it also doesn't make us some money doing it manually. Of course, and I'm still looking actually into that too. TEC has still zero idea on what to do with crypto donations. That's the reason why I have to manually, immediately, as soon as I get a notification that somebody bought a ticket with a donation of crypto, I have to stop what I'm doing, convert it to USD, and then move it to our bank account. And it's because they only operate USD. Now, I'm going to start looking at the aspects of having assets, because under the federal government, crypto is defined as property. And you can own property, can I get?
Move to extend by 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so property. So it's just like political parties can own buildings and they can report them to TEC under their TEC's manual reports and such. And if the IRS is defined crypto right now as property, then I don't see why it wouldn't translate to us possibly keeping that as an asset, growing it if we wanted to, and then reporting that as an asset like a building, like we purchased a building. I actually need a call for this. If anybody wants to hold my hand during that call, please volunteer. I'd be happy. But I am going to start exploring more complexity with cryptocurrency and the asset part and see if we can't possibly help ourselves. Other than that, yeah, I think that's what we would be looking forward to in upgraded services. But it could take up to a year with this institutional wallet. It was an insane amount of information that you have to input. Insane. Like, more so than we did in right now.
Yeah. Thank you, appreciate it.
Did you clarify why they force you to convert the asset to cash?
Because it's a donation, and they only want donations in USD because there's no way. TEC.
Somebody donated a book, they force you to sell it.
I'm sorry.
Someone donated a book, would they force you to sell that? Is that what you're doing?
Book.
Tractor.
Well, yeah, you see the difference.
It has to be currency. Like, so that would be an in-kind donation, that is a separate line item, but with this is a currency and it is still defined as a currency, it has to be converted to USD. So let's say somebody came out of the country and gave us a whole bunch of, I don't know, pounds or something like that, we would have to convert that to USD and report it that way.
Right, because again, the federal increasing portfolio of assets.
Let's keep the crosstalk to a minimum so we can hear from the questioner.
So you guys can convert it to US dollars, is that just for reporting, or you physically convert it, or you just have to report the cash value of it?
No, I have, as of right now, to keep us on the up and up with TEC, I have to manually convert it to USD, like sell the cryptocurrency to USD immediately. And as soon as somebody donates, I have to.
Follow-up question to that. I mean, can't the party make investments in like stocks and do report that separately?
That's the question.
So if we make a profit, as of right now, the way I understand it, we would have to start reporting to FEC and the IRS. And then we have to start.
Didn't they do that for the like shop and stuff?
Nope,
Okay.
because that is a gift with donation.
So.
The way we set it
Actually
up,
sell.
we don't sell things, it's a donation and they just get something for their donation.
If we sell too much, we get out of our lane, so we have to give things.
Not with Shopify, no, not with the way that, Moxley set everything up. It's a
No, I
different-
mean, tax reasons, we get sideways. With,
Yeah, if we sell anything.
if we sell too much,
Yes.
so.
And so that's the reason why I'm having to do more research on cryptocurrency assets and holding them. I want to, obviously that would be good for us. But as of right now, I just wanna stay in our lane and play by the rules as of right now, and that's what we're gonna do right now. But I'm still exploring, still trying to play that game.
Scott, this is Steve. Do you have any concerns about the fluctuating market in crypto?
What was the question?
Good answer.
I guess more toward like if somebody's paying for something with crypto, what happens if that price drops before you're able to convert it?
That's what you
Or
have to
once it goes
do.
automated? I mean, if somebody gives you $300 worth of crypto for an event ticket, what happens if that $300 worth of crypto drops before you were able to get it in the bank?
Technically, even if you were to pay with a credit card, the value of that ticket kind of goes down anyway because you're talking about credit card processing fees.
Okay.
And as of right now, credit card processing fees is equivalent to what we're paying with processing and transaction fees with Coinbase and crypto to USD. So it's about even, but again, we've only had crypto for about a week now. I've only had 3 transactions, one of them being mine. And one being $5 and another $20 or something like that. So, we don't have a big picture right now, but that's kind of where we're at. We're already accounting for that.
Time has run out. I did see Renee's hand up. If there's no objection here, one more question for Renee.
Actually, I'd to say for future conversation, I believe there are companies that will do what you need. They will hold the currency against value. But at the same time, it will be considered by entities that will be reported as risk, that they'll guarantee that, and they'll hold the money based on it, but they the money.
Right, yes, and I'm exploring that, and it's considered a health asset, and of course, if there's any appreciation or depreciation, in that asset, that would be reported semi-annually. So I am still looking at that, but when I asked TBC about that, cryptocurrency goes absolutely over their heads. Absolutely.
Kind of going off of what Renee said, Scott, as we are. So if there is depreciation, if we do end up holding crypto and there is a depreciation, that would be a write-off?
It's not necessarily write-off, it's not tax.
Okay.
We would just have to report it.
Okay.
Any fluctuation on any of our assets at all, we have to report.
Okay.
All right, time has expired on that item. So at this point, we would be moving into staff reports. We've got 60 minutes budgeted there. We are ahead of schedule by about 16 minutes. Not bad. And we will be starting with Andrea. The newly appointed executive director.
I can see you now.
And they can hear you now.
This is gonna be a little weird because normally I post a report and then get up here and basically improvise my way through a presentation. Unfortunately, due to circumstances partly within my control, partly not within my control, I ended up posting a report last night. So I'm gonna kind of walk through it. I'm assuming most people haven't seen it already. Kind of read it to you, and I'm sure I'll find ways to elaborate as I go. I'm sure some of y'all found out about this. I don't know how y'all found out about this. Happened, I guess, right after the holidays, first quarter of January. You may be wondering why I'm here, or why I volunteered for this job. This is not normally a volunteer position, and or I guess maybe in some places it is, but it's not that kind of job description. It is my sincere belief, coming out of a fat year in development, that it is time for us to start professionalizing our staff and building up what we are able to do on a regular, predictable, day in, day out basis. Having Jenny on board as a part-time paid staff member has been, I think that was a prototype or proof of concept. Then that's every day, full time. The utmost respect for all of our part-time, including myself, that slog through this stuff all the time. Of the game, you know. But if we are going to take on the big parties, then we're going to need a big game plan and a big team.
And we can't do this in our spare time, subject to whatever other things might come up at home or at work or through pandemics or whatever else is going on that knocks us out of the game. So I made a list. I did a bullet point thing. I tend to think like that. I said, why I volunteered. A, number one, prime directive, maybe point 0, to support the chair by being a human dashboard to streamline and simplify her oversight of the staff. So it gives our chair, in this case Whitney, an oversight that is one point of contact, a summary synthesis of things that are going on in the departments. Hopefully that brings her time to do more chair stuff. Greatly, I said nothing could have made me happier once we finally kind of discussed this enough to come to the point of like, this could actually work. Then to have Jesse Howard get appointed as operations director, because that's a huge thing. Speaking of which, number 2 is to support the staff by facilitating communication and coordination among the department directors. So that's the yin and the yang of my job. I have to know what the chair is thinking, where we're headed, and then I have to figure out how to break that down into actionable items that our staff can work on. Help with that process, help support what they're trying to do, and often just sort of the troubleshooter, somebody that irons out the wrinkles or tries to figure out why something is not happening. Which again,
Hey, Andrew, can you?
Backstreet,
Okay,
diaphragm,
fine.
support puts.
You've seen this mic, I think it's, yeah. Anyway, yes, so trying to help the staff with coordination, communication, just solving problems and making sure things don't get left behind, which again, it's more common in a part-time volunteer situation because we all have all these great things we want to do, and then we have these incredible time constraints on what we're able to do. And so there's always this huge list of things that needs to get done, and this little sliver of stuff that's getting done. And that's the thing. So we have to kind of, priorities are a thing, and trying to figure out what we should be working on and why those things need to happen. So helping our staff keep those things moving forward. Point number 2. Point number 3, to identify and exploit opportunities to increase operational efficiency and tempo of the staff and to facilitate the onboarding of additional staff as needed. It's been a lot of fun to bring on Alan Tenenbaum is here somewhere. Our new data analyst, election analyst. I don't think Jennifer's not here.
Jennifer can't make it today.
Can't make it today. Jennifer Holine in the communications department. We have good people coming on board, helping to share the load. Many hands make light work, and many more hands complicate the management issues of trying to coordinate and make sure everybody is, getting everything done that needs to get done. But that's the job description, trying to make those things happen. 4, now here's where it gets down to some nitty gritty about being a part-time volunteer executive director, which seems almost like an oxymoron. To provide a transitional evaluation phase between no executive director and full-time paid executive director to develop the concept and scope of the position. And so that's something that it's been a work in progress from last fall. Again, I don't know, whenever we start talking about this and kind of the concept of what we're trying to accomplish here. Part of what I'm doing as part of the interim job description is trying to figure out what the job is, or figure out how best to execute the job and get the most value out of the job. So is this helping or hurting? And where can it help the most? Highest and best use considerations of how should I spend my limited time. Now, I don't have any reason to be coy about this, and so I'm just going to lay it on the table now. To provide, number 5 is to provide SLEC and the chair and other officers a probationary period to evaluate whether I would be a suitable candidate for a full-time executive director position. I'm not embarrassed about that. Number 6, I'll follow that right up with, to provide myself with a probationary period to evaluate whether Elton Texas would be a suitable candidate for the workforce as a full-time. 2-way street, y'all. You're checking me out, I'm checking you out. I don't know if I want you to be my boss or not, but we'll figure this out. Being a part-time volunteer is kind of cool because you can always just kind of say, "Oh, I got busy," in your life. When you're paid employee, all of a sudden it's like, how high, and that's a different deal. So I'm not sure, but we're working it out. We're going to solve this problem. We're going to figure it out. And then once something's going to happen, but one way or the other, is there any doubt in anybody's mind that at some appropriate point in time, when we have figured out what the game plan is, remember, it's always true, a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. We can overthink this until next term and still not have an executive director, but like, in a practical sense, what can we do to solve the problems, to increase the bandwidth, to get the job done, so we can kick the duopoly's ass sooner rather than later, right? So, what I've been doing, I've spent the past month getting up to speed on party-wide operations and developing processes and a workflow. I committed to the chair to provide 20 hours per week of time on this project and have had to make some time management adjustments, as you can imagine. Some of that is still in progress, but I am getting my hours in. I'm going to skip the extended metaphor here about how LP Texas is like a car, and I'm just going to go over that. I just had to get that out of my system. I may come back to that if I have time, but I'm trying to respect the clock. How much time do I have?
7 minutes.
All right, moving right along. Most of what I've spent the past month doing is assessing the overall situation, setting up processes, cultivating my relationships with the chair, the department directors, and other staff, getting up to speed on projects that are already in progress that I can help expedite, interviewing and onboarding new staff, working on organizational design with the chair, and developing strategy. And I'd like to stop right there. Arthur, I'm sorry, but I'm going to make a quick motion. I know. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize to everybody because we all agree this is bad form. But this is something that's just been hanging over. Like, why is this not done yet? It's on me. I should have had all of this stuff in before. I should have had this on the agenda. But I would rather just take this out of my time, see if I can slip this in. And if not, then fine. I just won't ever talk about it. But I move to dissolve the IT department, eliminate the position of IT director, and move the staff positions of website administrator and systems administrator to the operations department. The organization chart and the LP Texas operations manual be amended accordingly.
Second.
Got a second? Any objection? Sorry. I'm just trying to.
Can you give the language to the secretary?
I
have it.
Can I?
So the essence of this is to dissolve the IT department as a whole department and eliminate the director position from IT, move the two existing positions, which are systems administrator and webmaster, under operations. Simple enough. Got a second? Any objections to that?
Thank you. That's why it's good for what I'll be doing now is between now and the state convention. Here's the plan. We have entered 2022 with a decent surplus over our 2021 budget. I say 100 grand is a decent surplus. But we're not stopping there. While Jenny continues to grow our funding membership, Sean and Joe and I will be ramping up our direct contacts with current and past donors in support of specific funding campaigns this year, including, without limitation, strategic candidate support, paid staff, and more mass media advertising. That's the plan to develop. In addition, I'll be rolling out a specific project to recruit volunteers specifically to interact with our Texas House representatives and to support our HD candidates in this election campaign season. A one-sheet briefing has been uploaded to Ignite with more details. So that's actually a lie. I overlooked that in my uploading things, and but I'll remedy that. So it's not up there now, but I'll get that up there in the on the forum, and then a miracle occurred to move to Ignite. You doing it?
With the current.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. In addition, I'll be on call for anything the chair needs done, and will be monitoring and supporting the completion of various tasks in progress now, such as the CRM migration and the Texan.vote website, which is a project to create a side project in support of alternate voting, including special approval voting. Finally, I'll be working to develop this position further with a view toward making it a full-time paid position as soon as is reasonably possible. Whether that's me or someone else, LP Texas needs a full-time executive director. And that's it. Anybody got any questions? How much time we got?
3 minutes.
Whoa.
I have a question about your candidate a strategic candidate help?
Yes.
What was that program look like?
That's something we've been talking about. I've been talking about for a couple of quarters now. And I don't mean in the sense that like you should have heard this, but what I mean is it's just the idea is that, especially now that we have an election analyst on board, I want to get to work on the data. I want to get into the data, start analyzing our districts, and for reasons I can explain when I have a lot of time. I want to focus on House district races. But and drill down and find out where our vulnerable seats, where our positions. We know some of the deal that the two-way race instead of a three-way race, the incumbent's not running again. There's some broad brush stuff we know, but let's
Kind of a frontier project for Texas.
that. Yeah, find a race that we can win and knock it out of the park. And we start taking territory. 30 seconds on that. The Texas legislature is our battlefield as a state. As a state party, it's great that the counties do county stuff on county time, right? But as a state party, the state is our battlefield. We can figure out how we're doing by getting a map of the House districts and Senate districts and pointing to the ones that we control, which right now we're losing 181 to 0. So we're gonna fix that. That's the task. We're gonna fix that. Okay.
I just had a quick question. What departments do you need most help in?
Right now is events, hands down, because of the situation and the combination of personnel stuff going on with convention. Like it means anybody can bring any help to back up to make this convention happen would be first one. The next thing after that will be essentially this, what I'm calling a government accountability project. That's the working title. There's a document about that. There is a document about that. Go ahead. No, that's what I did. Never mind. Confuse myself. They'll all be up there by the end of the day. But that'll essentially be, it's a multi-department thing, but it's a political action commitment and volunteers to help do work in your House district. That would be the next thing. So.
I actually have something to add to that, but I want to hear from Mr. Westbrook first.
So does your role encompass the communications that we have through Discord and other things like that at this time?
In any direct terms, no, that would be the moderators of the Discord platform. What do you maybe I'm missing the question?
My question to you is what?
Okay.
I just want to address the question that comes from over here where we need help. I agree that the events department specifically right now is preparing for a convention, but that doesn't mean we need to fill staff positions in our org chart. It really just means we need people that work on the ground, willing to go take care of tasks here and there. And that now without the events director will be something that I would also be more involved in along with Becca and the remaining department members for events. I want to say that I would like to see, one of my priorities moving forward is an outreach coordinator and someone to do along the lines of what Jacob Bradley has done. This was one of the first times anyone had come to me wanting to know, how we can get involved in our county fairs and things like that. And he was adamant about making sure that we have a presence at these fairs, and particularly at his own. And that was super exciting. We put together banners and all of these things to make sure that we were able to get there. And know that there was some pushback with regard to local government there deciding whether or not we were going to be allowed and all of that. That's the kind of thing that I think we need on a larger scale, is someone who can go out there and as our outreach coordinator and find events where we need to be present and putting all of that information in a space for all of us to see it, and we can all just tag team on, okay, well I can go to that one, you guys go to this one. And then having sort of the little pop-up booth that we can put together where it's for our county or for the state party to make sure that we are there. I've said this over and over again. We went to Freedom Fest. I represented the Libertarian Party at Freedom Fest, not just the national Libertarian Party of Texas at Freedom Fest, because tons of the people in that room are Texas. And I walked away from that, and I wholeheartedly believe that if the Libertarian Party was not there, it would have just been Fest, not Freedom Fest. The imperative that this this party, the Libertarian Party of Texas, be present wherever we can for those kinds of events. For community events, for charity events, or, whatever parades the government's putting on, all of that, everywhere we can. And Jacob, I know you met with some pushback on that, but we have to figure out the ways to get around it and make sure we can get there. So thank you for setting that example and working to make that happen.
Sure.
So that would be one that I would say is a priority. Yes.
There's going to have 1 minute, so I answer another question for you. I'm sorry, my teacher's speaking.
Okay, is there any objection to 1 more minute to hear from Mr. Wynn?
No.
So, my question is along the lines of what you're talking about, these barriers and so on and so forth. Is there money and support available now, for county chairs, so and so forth, to reach out to LP Texas and help with this? Can you set up this for me, that sort of thing, because I really don't know. Pardon my ignorance.
I would say, and Kate can be more specific if necessary, I would say there is money, but we don't yet have a mechanism or a structure by which we would funnel money to counties for that sort of thing. So it would be a case-by-case basis until we got some sort of budget line for that specific purpose. But
Well, that's kind of
definitely
like
something
what you're talking about, going forward,
yeah, it would be something we would need to sort of craft and build into the system.
And just for 5 seconds. As of right now, we do, within a box is $2,000, that's kind of to help, those kinds of things. And the discretionary, for the affiliate coordinator, what specifically is $1,500. That's for under his discretion. So if he feels like a county needs a little extra boost or something, they can do that as well. So that's what we have as of right now on the budget that has passed.
Mr. Watts, do you need to respond?
No, just confirming, I mentioned projects like, in my report, I mentioned that the affiliate team's looking at projects like the booth in the box and other things like that. So we are looking at expanding our support for
All right. Time has expired on that, but I know that you have been looking at a strategic plan that was put in place here a long time ago, and then there's also one for national that maybe we start to see, so.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
All right. All right. Yes, operations. We would have written operations.
All right, I'm Jessica Howard. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in the role for about a month now. And some of you have reached out to me and said, hey, what does operations director mean? What kind of falls under that operations umbrella? So I tell you. Operations, whenever we get the...
Which one is your report?
Which entire report?
Which one's your report, ma'am?
About to show you a hierarchy chart, which is obsolete as of 5 minutes ago. I come that fast. All right, so work chart. So what we've got under operations, of course, is the accounting affiliate team led by Mr. Nathan Watch, one of the hardest working people that we have. So Nathan has a team that is doing a lot of great work in support of that. We've got a slide on what they've done in the last quarter, a couple slides here in just a second. Also under operations is Voluntary Coordinator, Mr. Troxel. Folks who reach out to us saying that they want to volunteer, and we are looking to revamp that role. We'll have a little bit of information about that here in just a second too. As we mentioned, one of our big needs is an outreach coordinator. So somebody who is identifying places for us to go, set up our booth, do a lot of advocacy and outreach. The way that I'm envisioning that is, kind of starting with our coalitions. So Renee does a good job of managing our coalitions. Texans for Responsible Marijuana Policy. They have a thing at Texas A&M in early March. We probably missed the boat on that, but that would have been a great thing for us to actually go and have a booth there and have some representation and do a little bit of outreach on something like that. So outreach coordinator is a need. So
we are actively recruiting. So if anybody is interested in that role and is wanting to help find places where we can go set up our booth, do some outreach, I would love to talk to you about that role. Also, something that we are looking at is an asset manager. So asset manager, so the person who keeps inventory of all of our stuff. So right now, everything kind of lives in Whitney's house. And so our banners, our table, our projectors, our open box, if you will, and then some. So really what we're looking for an asset manager to do is kind of help deploy those things. So I kind of see that outreach coordinator and the asset manager working hand in hand. But asset manager would also be the responsible for kind of getting materials to county chairs whenever they want to do something in their county, making sure we get the stuff back. So keeping inventory of all of that stuff. The other thing that is technically in the org chart right now, we're kind of vetting this, is what we call member relations. And member relations, Jenny, for all intents and purposes, is doing member relations, right? So you can kind of mince words as far as like what's member versus what's donor and everything. The only thing that I can think of that would be kind of member relations that Jenny's not doing is kind of the soft skill stuff with, like, you know, let's say we've got a member of LP Texas that falls on hard times and we need to reach out, we need to help get them, you know, medical equipment, or we need to, you know, just do some general outreach and, you know, condolences or something like that. So I don't know that that necessarily necessitates like an entire staff position. So we've been kind of talking about whether we kind of fold that in with Jenny or just kind of address it collectively as needed. Maybe we fold it in with the volunteer coordinator role. So more to come on that. But that's kind of what falls under operations, plus a webmaster and systems administrator as of a few minutes ago. So any questions about kind of what the operations department entails? All right, we rock and roll. All right, so what have I been doing for the past month? So one of the things that I did was revamp the Mighty Call system. So Mighty Call is our phone system. So whenever somebody calls our 1-800 number for LP Texas, that phone number reroutes. We have built out a phone tree where it's saying, you know, press 1 for media inquiries, and that goes to Moxley, or, you know, press 4, you know, for county affiliate support. I forget exactly what the verbiage is, and then that brings Watt's number. So we have gotten a little bit more organized around that. So if somebody calls the 1-800 number for LP Texas, they are speaking with a live human being, or they are able to leave a voicemail to get things to the right place, and really making sure that, like, I'm going in there multiple times a day, checking for voicemails, making sure that, you know, when people reach out to us, they're getting a response. I actually spoke with some folks in the media. So I was telling Moxley we had somebody from the Sealy News, you know, kind of a small little local paper and everything, but was really interested and had a lot of probing questions about our convention process. So now that we've got that up and running, we've got you know, the calls going to the right places. We're making sure that people get responses. So just hoping that, you know, those outreaches result in positive outcomes. We are going to be doing training for anyone who certainly has calls routing to them. So Nathan, Frank, etc. So if anybody needs any help with that, I can definitely give them training. But requirements document is something that I put together. That's kind of a phase 0 document, just kind of outlining what the call flow is. But then I'm hoping to kind of beef that up with a bit of procedural information in the future as well. So and that's it. Affiliate coordinator update again. Mr. Watts put this information together. So if you have any questions, I may redirect to him in the gallery here. But basically, what he is just outlining here is everything the affiliate team's been working on, is putting together event lists. They've been doing regular outreach to all of the counties. I mean, Nathan and team are sending out emails all the time, giving a lot of good information. David has, for all intents and purposes, kind of taken over the newsletter, making sure that all of the events for all the counties get shared out. So great job to Nathan and Christy and Arthur and everyone on the affiliate team. And so they are kind of, you know, trying to figure out how they're going to even expand that further to further support of the county shares. I think we can go to the next slide. And this is just kind of giving you the numbers. So just looking at the the current term, so we had 31 appointments of county chairs. We had 5 disaffiliations, so these are folks that, have, removed or resigned for some reason or another. 8 elected in leadership, and so basically we had a positive net change of 26 affiliates. So increase. Huge. So that is really, really good stuff. Linked in the report is kind of the full report that Nathan put together for the affiliate team. So if you want to kind of delve into that into a little bit more detail, please feel free to check that out. But really, really good work with the affiliate team. All right, volunteer coordinator update from Mr. Troxel. We are looking to just make sure that everybody knows that if they want to get information. So if you are a county chair or a county executive and you're trying to get a list of people to reach out for to see if people, you can definitely do that. However, you do have to have an NDA on file. So if you are interested in getting a list out of Nation Builder of the people who are chairing in your area so that you can do some outreach, reach out to Luke at lptexas.org. He will help make sure that you get an NDA on file, and then he can help get you a list of volunteers as needed. And then what Luke is planning to do, just in terms of kind of future state vision, is start to host a webinar, kind of maybe once a month, twice a month, or something like that, where he is doing, here's what you need to do to volunteer, how you can go about this, and doing just some informal training sessions on volunteerism and everything too. So we'll hopefully ramp that up in March, and then we'll see how that goes. All right, CBCRM, Mr. Kyle Russell leading the charge on this. So CBCRM, I think everybody is aware we are doing a transition from Nation Builder to CBCRM. So that work is in progress. We've got a number of things that we're trying to do in terms of kind of the lift and shift, like the actual data migration. The goal is to have that done prior to convention, I think, is what we were shooting for, right? Just the data migration itself. And then there's a number of kind of tasks that need to come after that. So, we got to set up the AWS account, all of that good stuff, build the county affiliate map. So a lot of that, and then it's going to be a lot of lift and shift of the actual content from our site into the new site. So probably looking to keep a similar look and feel, but obviously have some more capability that we're going to work with. And then of course there's going to be some training coming for that as well. So end goal is, to have everything done around that May-ish time frame. So understanding that we've got convention right in the middle of all of that. We're going to try to shoot to get that done for May, and we'll keep you updated on progress, but that's kind of the state of the city right now. Any questions about city? Okay. All right. And this is just kind of a look at a couple of other state affiliates who have already done that migration, what their websites look like. So we've got Kentucky up here. Florida, yeah. So just a kind of a look of what their websites look like now that they've actually migrated to city. So basically, it's very customizable. We can make it our own. We can make it look however we want to. All right. Goals for next quarter. Recruit and appoint outreach coordinator and asset manager. So if anybody is interested in either of those roles I mentioned at the top, please let me know. I would love to talk to you. Because especially with that outreach coordinator, I would love to get that going sooner rather than later. And then also wanted to establish a budget approval process. So whenever we go to our little booth and everything, usually those are considered sponsorships. Those things aren't free. So I would like to kind of establish what's the process to have a booth at these events as we identify those opportunities. How do we vet that? How do we make sure we get those costs approved? And then kind of revamping the onboarding process, and this kind of goes back to what Luke is doing in the volunteer department. and really kind of leveraging some of the lessons learned from what he's been doing with Mises Caucus as far as the onboarding process there. So that's probably going to be something that we tackle once we're live on City. That way we're not trying to recreate the wheel. But just to let you guys know that that's coming, something that we really want to have that first interaction, that first outreach be very, very positive, and people who are engaged, we want them to stay engaged. So, that's all I got.
I'll keep track of speakers and phone numbers.
Okay.
Please, so put your hand up and I'll try to write it down, and then you don't have to keep holding your hand up.
Do you have an estimated cost for AWS?
I'll put that one to you. The question was approximate cost for the AWS account for City.
It's all usage based, for email. One of the other states that they send out like 5,000 emails, and it won't cost them less than $1 for their month.
Okay.
So
It'll be budgeted.
yeah, we'll have to, you know.
We spent 50,000 emails per month. We send about 50,000 emails per month.
We send about 50,000 emails a month.
So $5.
$5. I got 5 on it, Mr. Westbrook.
Yes, District 31. You mentioned a couple of things that refer to the website. And recently, I've gone there and tried to find information. For example, even about this event and some other things that may not be connected with what you do. I'm not sure about that. But my question has to do with, do you see the efforts that you're doing, improving that? And then number 2, will something like that organizational chart that you displayed, will that be there for those who have access to that?
I hadn't thought about that, putting a org chart on the website, but I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, we've got the staff list on the current site, so maybe we can just kind of put that into the. Yeah.
We already have a staff list on the site. The staff list is a reflection of the org chart. And so where there is not a current staff member, there's usually is an empty space there that says this is the position that is currently not held. Sometimes we even have a link activated so that people can apply.
But one can still visualize from that what the org chart is.
Yeah, I think so.
Actual org chart. Okay.
Yeah, I think you go to the LP Texas site, and I think it's our party, and then it's volunteer staff,
Yes.
and then it'll show Andrew, and then it'll show operations, and then
Kind of
everything.
looked recently,
Yeah.
but in the past, not so long ago, I tried to look at those things and say, okay, who's doing what, and figure it out. That might be my problem, but.
Yeah, so what you're looking for is the actual staff list. That actually has its own page. If what you want is just the org chart without the names assigned to it, that's actually one of the last pages in the policy manual, which I believe is on the website also.
It's available.
Okay.
Either one.
I just find those kind of things helpful in my.
That's fine.
Any other questions?
Ted Brown, District 42.
We're out of time.
Pardon me?
We're out of time.
Any objections, hearings, last question?
No.
Okay, so I heard from one of our candidates, Michael Newman, who's up in Wichita Falls, and he has some ideas about youth coordinating the high school students involved. And I'm wondering what department is that for them, or should we contact you, or who would?
Yeah, no, that would definitely be me, so that's probably, somewhere between outreach and volunteer coordinator, depending on what we're talking about, but yeah, you can definitely contact me, and then I'll, Luke and I will get with them and figure out what we can do.
Sounds good.
All right, good morning, everybody. I assume all you guys had a chance to look over the actual report and read it and study it. I'm saying, any questions?
What was the report?
So I don't want to read it verbatim, but I have a couple things that I want to make sure I touch on, so there will be an opportunity to, a moment that I am reading verbatim. But before I really get into anything, I do have to give a huge thank you to my team, and a lot of you guys don't know who my team is. Appointed Jennifer Howden is our social media manager. She is taking off of all social media. So the social media stuff that I do on a day-to-day basis with the rest of the social media team, we've got somebody who has built programs, that have built campaigns for a multi-billion-dollar company in the past, and I'm really happy to have her on my team. And look forward. She just came on 2 weeks ago, so I look forward to what she can help us do going forward. Jonathan Casey has been running our Twitter 99% of the time, so good job growing it. Tyler Rittenbach has been doing Facebook for us, and oddly enough, Facebook's still a thing. I guess boomers still get on the internet. And then I've got 4 people that have helped moderate the Facebook group for a long time now. And there's going to be some transitions coming up, but I wanted to thank all of them personally. Ben Farmer, Chris Clements, Angelique Moses, and Tim Martinez all have done a great job. As long as I've been a part of this department, and thanks to them, we've been able to continue the growth that we've done and present a professional image online, right? Which is a huge part of my goal, is to represent this party and this organization, all of the work that you guys are doing to represent us professionally to the public. So I do appreciate all of those guys. So the last quarter, I just wanted to highlight about what we did. We did hire another content creator. That was Jonathan. We hired a social media manager. We launched the store. For those of you who don't know, store.lbtexas.org. We haven't done a grand opening yet. Look for that in the next couple of weeks. I had a problem timing things as far as launching the store and doing a huge online campaign to raise awareness for the store without it overshadowing other announcements that we've had, like the convention, and some other things that we've announced over the last month and a half that we've had the store up and running. So look for that kickoff, though, probably early March, if not the end of February, for more information on the store. We've also been working on cleaning the email distribution list. That's gone from an unyielding, I think we were sending out, every time we sent an email, it was going to like 40,000 people. We had an open rate of like 2.5%, a bounce rate of much over 10%, tons of spam, tons of bad, like really awful numbers when you're trying to track email performance. We cleaned that list up quite a bit to only people who had opened emails in the last 90 days. We figured if you haven't even looked at an email from us in 90 days, you really didn't want to be seeing emails from us. And then we started working from there. We did that, I'm trying to remember now, it's probably been at least 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago that we started doing that. Our open rate is over 25%. Our click rate is between about 5% on average for most emails. That's actually really impressive in the email marketing world.
Yes.
We got Meta Business back. If you guys don't know, Facebook, their business suite for managing the page and the group and Instagram, for lack of a better term, it's a pain in the ass. And we had a single administrator of that business account that we had a little difficulty locating. It wasn't allowing us to Instagram page, and our Facebook group, and our Facebook page, all under the same business account, single admin for it, which wasn't me. It was hard to locate. And so once we got that taken care of, we've been able to integrate everything. And so doing multi-platform marketing from a single point, it has been available to us, and it's been much easier for us to do. We've also been hosting online trainings for other departments. I know Nathan Watts and the affiliate team has put together some great trainings. We've got some coming up for the convention, and I've been helping facilitate that as well in our department. All right, here's what I'm going to read verbatim. I look forward to next quarter's challenges of producing a print newsletter for our donors. hiring a staff production member, improving the functionality of our email service and website when we switch to Civi, producing high digital quality content from the state convention, and ramping up for the 2022 midterms. We are all keenly aware of the challenges that the current political climate presents us, but I like to think that within that challenge, there is an opportunity like never before to take a stand against all who look for solutions and authority and stands and freedoms. I am excited, and that's been shared already, that there's a lot of momentum in this party, and I'm excited for that. That's been building over the last year while I've been in this role, and I'm anxious and optimistic that we can preserve the results that we've harvested while find better ways to improve our yield. With that said, let's go into what I do as far as planning and organization. I submitted this report about a week ago, so it is a week behind. We are finishing up a week of campaigning on judicial reform. You can see the ones we did previously. This is actually going to be much improved when Jennifer is fully up to speed, and she's going to be handling putting together campaigns on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis across all of the platforms that we use. There are 6 of them. There's 6 social media platforms that we are currently using on a regular basis. If you would please go to the next chart. Actually, I don't need department changes, social media updates. There we go. There's the raw numbers of what you're going to see from our social media team on the charts that make it a little more easier to digest. So the one thing I want everybody to notice is we are now looking at, I've been in this role 13 months now, so we are looking at, I get to now compare myself to myself. And I get to see, compared to last January, how I did this January, compared to last February, how I do this February. Every single month, there's been an increase. I have not had a net decrease. Let me rephrase that. I won't say I. The guys that are actually doing the posting and the moderating have done such a good job in what they're doing. We have not seen any sort of pullback in growth on social media. Do we get our ass kicked from time to time on crappy posts? Yep. That's part of the process. It's part of the growing process, and it's part of the process of saying things that people don't like. And a lot of times, as libertarians, we've got to do that. So I appreciate.
Occupational hazard.
Yeah, it's an occupational hazard. I appreciate the challenge, and what I do like the feedback though on is if you as an executive body do feel that I'm never saying anything or our representative, our mouthpiece is saying things that don't represent libertarian values, that's where I'm going to say, okay, well, maybe we have an issue here. This is something we got to look into. But saying things that are objectionable or inflammatory or that are just going to piss people off, we have a problem with it. All right, so the chart, let's actually look at it visually. Let's see what it looks like. So there's the last 12 months of the Facebook page. I do the page of the group, 2 different things. Page is totally done by us. We don't get input from the community or the people that are participating in it. Month after month, growth. Keep going.
Must be all boomers, huh?
Well, yeah, the boomers, for the boomers in the room, I just had this conversation 2 days ago. The page is maintained by, well, everything's maintained by us, but we comment as the party on the page. The community of libertarians in Texas that participate in our group comment on the group. Facebook group growth. Why is that growth so much smaller? Well, there's a really good reason. We're fairly restrictive of who we think should be participating in our private group on Facebook. I don't think it's appropriate for somebody from Saskatchewan to be participating in our Facebook group. There can be a disagreement on that, but there are a million other places on the internet where people want to talk about libertarian things, they can go to do it. This is strictly focused on the Libertarian Party in Texas. So that's why the group, you'll see a little less growth. We are restrictive on that. I just want to bring everybody in this room up to speed on a change that was made. I mentioned I hate Facebook. Here's one of the reasons. So the groups have changed. So we were considered a public group from day one. We've always been a public group, which means that it's available to be searched out, sought out. You can find this group if you do a search on Facebook. Private groups, you have to be invited to. There's the distinction between the two. When you had a public group, you could restrict who was a member of it. We could say, no, dudes only, or something stupid. We had determined we only wanted people that agreed to follow by the moderator's rules, that they lived in Texas, and then they would promote Libertarian Party of Texas. That was, there were a couple other rules, but that was for the most part it. Facebook, and in Zuckerberg's infinite wisdom, decided, well, the whole world should be able to see what you guys are talking about in there, without us being able to vet who participates. So it is now available to be seen. You can jump in there without being a member and see what we're discussing on that group. To comment or to respond to any other, or to post or to comment on any other posts, you would need to get approval from the moderation team. It's a small difference. It's one that frustrates the hell out of me. But one of the things that we are going to discuss is actually possibly making that group private, so that you would have to get invited or seek out how to join that group. We'll keep going. Go to Twitter. That's a pretty one. Woo-hoo. Nice growth on Twitter. Jonathan Casey, killing it. Great job. Instagram. Oddly enough, for a 43-year-old man, Instagram. One of my favorites that I put on Instagram. I like that art. I like Instagram.
You're just gonna wait for your next TikTok.
So you can see where we really started using it, right? There was a drastic increase when we started posting. Now that we've been able to, just in the last month, integrate with Meta Business, the Facebook and the Instagram pages, that's going to grow a lot more because everything we put on Facebook is going to be available on Instagram if there is some sort of visual attached to it. So you should see a good amount of growth over the next few months on Instagram. Woo! Yeah, a weird one that I appreciate. I don't know why I like this. I love TikTok.
It's the dancing.
It's not the dancing.
It is the dancing.
Okay, I will make a vow to everybody in this room. I will never dance on our TikTok.
Come on. Fundraiser.
How much of a donation will it take?
I would accept that. However, I just can't promise everybody.
What if it was a fundraiser? Would you then?
We'll discuss that when I do Q&A here. Let me push through because I'm not sure how much time do I have, guys.
1 minute and change.
Yeah, I need to. I'm pretty much done talking about social media, right? Me, I got nothing new to report. Our YouTube account, definitely underutilized. For anybody watching on YouTube, thanks for being there. Appreciate it. We are streaming this just for the record. This meeting, the convention, and speaking engagements going forward. We're going to try to do a lot more video content that we can produce. Something I'd ask you guys to talk to your county chairs, or those of you who are county chairs. Send me stuff. Send me pictures. Send me videos. I will put it on our Instagram account, and I will put together TikToks, oddly enough, of you guys doing stuff. I want that content that I can share and show libertarians being involved, doing volunteer events, doing meetings, having speakers, engagement, and stuff like that. That goes a long way if we can just show that we're out doing the work. Other people have talked about the website and Clubhouse. Yeah, we have Clubhouse. I have an inkling of a plan for how to utilize this going forward, but I haven't really fleshed it out yet. But look for some things coming pretty shortly. Yes, our chair and our vice chair jumped on Clubhouse for a while. Something like that, though, where we can do like an AMA or a Q&A type thing, is kind of what I'm trying to flesh out and figure out how I want to do it.
Madam Chair, move to extend the gentleman's time 5 minutes for Q&A.
Second.
Any objection to 5 more minutes? No objection.
Who's the second?
Please announce who's making a motion.
Sorry.
Westbrook, no, he was the motion, not the second.
Other people have talked about the website, the Crm Transition, something that we are starting to do a lot more of. I'm starting to take voices from sometimes lowercase l libertarians on libertarian issues that are subject matter experts, people that have a ton of knowledge about a subject that we, as a body, definitely not dumbass, don't know anything about, and we can present ourselves as knowledgeable and professional on issues that are libertarian and represent those issues well. So the website, I want to do more blog posts, email marketing and things like that from subject matter experts. And I've talked to Andrew about how I envision this. I think we've got a pretty good plan going forward. Some of it revolves around us transitioning over and changing CRMs. But we've got a good plan going forward for that. The newsletter, and I know Jesse had mentioned that Nathan is effectively sending out our newsletter, and I appreciate him doing that, sending out the events that are coming up, which was a part of our newsletter every single month, is very important. I think that's good stuff, and I would like to continue to do that. But I actually want to revamp how we're doing our newsletter. And my idea going forward is that this would be something that is self-funding through advertising. We would sell ad space, and then we would actually do a print newsletter similar to like the Libertarian Pledge on a national level that goes out only to donors, that has some of these articles from authors around Texas, guys that write for a living and are subject matter experts on things, interviews by people on our staff of other libertarian activists and candidates and things like that we can put out to our donors. I really need to get down and I talked to somebody at National who was helping with that. You referred me to Becca. Becca and I have a time set aside that we're going to talk. That once, you know, she's not busy. That we're gonna try and figure out the feasibility. The cost is even really like how much am I going to have to charge advertisers to make this a zero cost to us as a party to do. One thing about the email marketing, and then I am done. I feel like we've underutilized email a little bit, mainly because the CRM, it wasn't how I like to see things organized. The list that we had, where I can say, hey, this person is really, really into Second Amendment only stuff. I don't care about anything else, and I want to be able to target them with email marketing. Or this person is really into other stuff. Marijuana reform, decriminalization, or whatever their issue is. I can focus my email campaigns to those folks. It's much easier to do email marketing that's targeted than it is to do social media marketing that's targeted. So I'd like to be able to get our email to that point. One thing that we have done though, and I started this 6-8 months ago, we started kind of a drip campaign or an automated campaign. When somebody signs up to get email information from us on our website, they get an automatic email, a thank you, basically. Actually, it's a double opt-in. The first one they get says, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And then they get a thank you from the chair. They get an introduction to the party. And I apologize, I'm going to kind of mess the exact what is being talked about in each email. But every director in the party, over the course of a month, reaches out to them and just says, hello, this is what I do. This is how to get connected. This is how to become a volunteer. This is how to donate. This is how to follow us on our other social media sites. The cool thing I learned about doing this is that I can actually look at our donations that have come from that, we call it a conversion, that 10% of all people who receive one of those automations ends up donating in some form or fashion. That's $0 for us to send that email out, and it's money that's being donated to us. And since I did have just an extra second added, the store. We launched the store. If you dug into Kate's report, you're going to be like, they're not making any money. Why are we doing this? I expect we're making a little bit money. I expect that to improve after we do the launch. All right, so the elephant in the room from the communications team. Actually, I'm going to entertain questions. I'm assuming it's going to be pertaining.
Actually, I want to have a comment. That is that having liberty means losing safety, right? So, for example, the government wants to say, oh, well, for your safety, you have to wear a seatbelt. And so they impose that on us, and we don't have the liberty not to wear a seatbelt. That's what I'm kind of talking about. What I'd like to encourage you to do, we're talking about the private Facebook page and things like that. is I would encourage you to, err on the side of liberty rather on the side of safety.
I appreciate your perspective on that. I think that having both the page and the group give us that opportunity to, we do have, there is space for people to express themselves in LP Texas circles, whether it's our Discord server in the unmoderated, which is always fun, or commenting on stuff that we post to the page. So I appreciate your perspective on that, and to a very certain, a large extent, I agree. I think deciding what we do with that group is something we're just going to have to make a decision. I will say in the couple of weeks it's been since they changed it, it's not been bad. It's really, we've not had a ton of garbage thrown at us. There's garbage thrown at us, definitely, but there's not tons of it. So.
Motion extended, no, Steve, that shows. Did you have more, if you didn't have more to say, it's fine.
I have no more to say, but I was going to entertain questions if you guys wanted to ask questions.
Are you calling the motion, Joe?
The one you just made, but.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Across the goal line, successfully.
And, next on the list is second part of development, which is going to be Mr. Allen again for the time being.
All over again.
For the cheap seats, brother. I said, for the cheap seats, brother.
Yeah. Same drill. I'm going to kind of walk through this. We presently have 461 members. 202 monthly, 222 annual, and 37 lifetime, about 5% increase since last quarter, an annualized growth rate of about 19%. Combined, yeah, that's a good thing. We're still growing. The combined monthly income from those donations, the annual and monthly, the ongoing donations, is what I mean, is about $63,000. The 36 lifetime members that joined last year donated a total of $56,336. Who in this room is a lifetime member? Can y'all, yeah, hands, that's good. Goal for this year is obviously to beat that number, preferably by a good margin. The membership growth has actually been slower this quarter than the previous quarters. I blame holidays and home crunch for that. But we expect that to pick up substantially going into convention and then the election season, which is always good for business. We will continue to promote lifetime memberships, monthly memberships, and in March, we will do another annual Spirit Texas membership promotion, the 1836 on that. We presently have 37 lifetime members, which is up from 25 at our last meeting. Much of the balance here, much of the early success of the lifetime membership was based on a pent-up demand, a cadre of committed members who chose to upgrade to lifetime as soon as we offered such a membership. If we are able to recruit as many lifers in the 12 months of 2022 as we did in the last 5 months of 2021, that will be a credible success, but we intend to recruit at least that many. Of the, well, again, one of the questions that come up is how does this affect our ongoing donations? Of the 37 current lifetime members, 14 did cancel their previous memberships, but 16 either left their monthly donations going to the general fund, 11 of them, or moved it to either the legal or legislative action fund to support that, which was 5 of them. 6 of the lifetime members were brand new and had no prior membership. They just jumped in and went for the lifetime. Lifetime membership, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't remind you that lifetime memberships are currently available for $1,836. $1,836. Get it? For now, for the moment, until we run out, we have a limited run of 50 gold commemorative coins. The usual deal is a silver round, 1 ounce silver round, but we get a special 50th anniversary coin, and so the next 40 something people that want to pick up on that will get gold coin when we do that. Both coins, that's $2,500. Now, last quarter, Alan Smith stepped up during the meeting and became a lifetime member. So I'm just saying, if anybody wants to be that guy this quarter, this is your move. The donor appreciation program, at Kate already covered that pretty much. We're getting there. The holidays were set back. A COVID wipeout of the staff at our mint that's doing the coins was a setback. It's just one thing after another. But it's getting there. Everything's in production now except for a couple of small pieces. And soon we'll be rolling this out. And then the problem will be delivery. Yeah, as many as we can, we'll get passed out at convention, and then we'll go from there. Moving forward from here, 2021 was primarily about member retention, including developing systems for tracking membership and credit card expirations and renewing memberships. Member appreciation, designing and producing and defining tangible rewards for our funding members to show some gratitude for their ongoing support. And membership recruiting, primarily through social media. 2022 will be about developing the party and will include fundraising in support of additional paid staff, as well as for additional training materials and programs for volunteers. That's the thing I mentioned earlier about recruiting volunteers and training them to work with the legislature. We also, during this election year, have a strategic campaign support fund and a mass media advertising fund to raise, whether that ends up being through the vehicle of special projects and designated funds, or simply as special fundraising campaigns in support of the general fund. That's a tactical decision that gets worked out with the treasurer and kind of the vibe of how we want to manage that and present that to our potential donors. Over the next few months, either using our online forum soon if this body is amenable, or at the April 10th SLEC meeting at the latest, I will be asking SLEC to approve a budget modification expense authorization in support of both the paid executive director and 2 additional commission fundraisers for the development department. We have a lot of work to do in a short amount of time, and if we're going to take this party to the next level, we're going to need a bigger budget. So that's to that. And again, this ties in, you may have noticed, if you remember from like an hour ago, 30 minutes ago, I mentioned that we want to move forward in the direction of obviously increasing our full-time staff. The issue is full-time. Paid is what we have to do to get there. Full-time is the strategic objective. And then moving out and moving into specific donor relations outside of the field of membership and relatively smaller amounts, but healthy amounts that keep coming in on a regular recurring basis and keep the lights on, and moving in the direction of people that have specific resources and specific interests and specific objectives that we can talk to you about whether we can partner together and make some of those objectives happen. So that's it for the development department this time. Does anybody have any questions? Cool, let's move on. No, wait.
I'm just curious, do you have just an idea of what the regular recurring monthly donation?
That's Thomas.
Per month at this time, about 5. I mean, I think it was 63. It is without the lifers, like.
Yeah, we're just on the monthly recurring.
Oh, monthly? No, that includes annual.
It's
Yeah,
not
like
a
that.
chunk though, it's not necessarily a significant chunk.
Sure, I was just curious. It's in the.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Roughly, we have about the same number of annual and monthly donors, and roughly the monthly donors are carrying about 2/3 of the annuals are mostly fixed. Keep ads on it, just making payments as well. But mostly that's $25 pops. Monthly is a lot more. As far as keeping operating budget, keeping the lights on.
I just recently, at the end of the year, changed my membership status, but in the process of doing that, I forgot to adjust my monthly donation and our legal donations. If I have to say here, I would like to challenge my fellow SLEC members that if you're not making a small donation, if you're able to be sure you are making a donation to both the membership and even if you're a live member, and also to the legal fund.
Just while we're on that subject, I'd just like a special shout out for Jack Westbrook, who was a December 31 last lifetime member to join the. A shout out for my partner Jenny, who was the one who put the social media post up on that day that Jack wanted to do. We decided that was
So we've got a lot of donor awards coming, lifetime. What can we expect for convention towards our lifetime member benefits?
as far as any special event that we
Yeah.
well, that's that was being discussed. And there is something planned. The problem is that the details are not going to have to be planned up, but it was originally conceived in the nature of a.
But the only reason I'm asking is
Yeah.
because, of course, in the last SLEC, if anybody was here and remembers, I had suggested that we put a percentage of our lifetime membership
Yes.
donations to convention fund in order for us to host a lifetime event, free to lifetime members every convention. And that way, you can, the people who don't get to walk through the door are like, oh, are we there? And you'd be like, 1836 right now. But that's why, yeah, because if we need to, we might have to create a motion in the forum, obviously after this meeting, to make that happen, just so it's covered.
Yeah.
That's my preferred way, instead of dipping into having the previous convention budget, is to add to it and authorize that expenditure.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, she got the set. I missed the spike. But there will be something.
If there are no objections, Madam Member Gallery, next up, if wishes to speak.
Lou Trussell,
Can't let anybody speak.
what my SP is, to be perfectly honest, I think it's SE11. Quick question for you, have you had the opportunity to update the pamphlets and handouts to add a QR code for donation links for like handouts and other documents that are passed out for recruitment purposes?
Had the opportunity, I don't know.
Right, yeah, is that in the plan?
Answer a different question. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to steal that idea.
Okay.
But we are in the process of using up the last of a batch of pamphlets. The next production run will undoubtedly include that, and then we'll go from there. We're gonna, we need some photos, we're gonna, but yes, QR links to make it easy for people to sign up, give money, whatever. Eliminate obstacles.
Galleries, please.
There's.
Everyone's going to mic.
You might want to just remember there's a mic here too, in case you.
Yeah. We hear you much better when you do that down the street.
On that topic, what's the projection when we expect to run out of those pamphlets? I mean,
Soon.
how many do we have?
We'll probably, I'm speaking only for myself, the status that we have at the house, a few hundred.
Kyle
and
has them.
They'll go quickly. I mean, probably, I'm kind of thinking that around convention would be a time to look at the new
Well, I was kind of getting at maybe it'd be beneficial to have those ready to go, the new ones ready for convention. And I mean, if there's only a couple hundred, we trash them and I donate to cover the cost of a couple hundred.
You're saying to get one QR code.
New ones, yeah. If we don't have that many, I'd rather have the new ones ready to go for convention.
Yeah,
Understood. What?
there's some on the table right here.
Okay, yeah, we have some here. Y'all take some out and give them to your constituents, and that'll help us get rid of them. Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to address the QR codes. With the website changing, our links might be changing, so.
Oh, that's great.
Instead of any QR code, they go to one page, maybe named differently in the future. We just need to make sure we address that.
Yeah.
It's important.
With all due respect, I think it's gonna end up being around convention. And there's some moving parts here. that-
Yeah, so hopefully we have them in place.
All right. Any other questions for the development department? And just for the record, when I became a lifetime member of National, what it meant to me, and I will be a lifetime member of the state here very soon. My husband wanted to do it first, so. It meant that I'm committing to a lifetime of continuing to give money to the party.
Right.
So in case anybody's confused about that. Next on the list is lunch, and we are 4 minutes early.
If I can just piggyback on what you just said about that, because I mentioned earlier, I said a certain number of people that had stopped donating to the party, but in almost every case where I had a conversation with that donor, they already knew what they were going to do as their ongoing deal. Somebody mentioned another independent liberty organization. In my case, I'm looking forward to giving more money to candidates this season. Like everybody, what Whitney said. So
Give it wherever you want. Just don't stop doing it. All right, so you guys have gotten really, really good at these schedules. So we're going to lunch 3 minutes early. We will still reconvene here at 12:55. Yeah.